izkümkü, idüze orodoyu iveriku. Uronora.
Inomotu otunum isarapea. Au kunana awisi Ueda kunam.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of Fumito Ueda podcast. I am your regular host, Albert, and today I am joined by my co-host, Logan. How you doing, Logan?
I'm pretty good. I guess we're doing video now, which is pretty awesome.
Amazing, and weirdly, like, the audio quality is like always incredibly good when I'm calling you via the Skype. But you're also
Good.
giving me your supplementary kind of audio recording, so the end result,
Yeah.
the end result should be nice and sort of nice sounding and looking. Hopefully, I mean, that's the hope at least, But yeah, so this is Logan is actually debuting as our very first. I did the Red Dead Redemption 1 solo,
Yeah,
but
I watched
you're
that.
historically the first person on any interactive artistry anything ever to appear
That's
on
cool.
video. So there you go. I dig it. Well, for you listeners who know, and maybe like I'm going to address how long it's taken to get this together, and you'll hear in some of the post-show stuff about what's been happening on our end that's led to a few delays, but we'll get right to it as we crack into our regular kind of spiel. So, the artist Fumito Ueda, who created Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, and The Last Guardian, is currently leading his new studio, Gen Design, in developing a new title, The Girl and the Sleeping Giant, as we've come to call it. Each week, we chronicle the creation of this forthcoming adventure in the form of weekly news, informed and wild speculation, analyses, and more. Interwoven with reporting on and breaking down any and all new developments, we are also revisiting Fumito Ueda's first 3 titles, starting with Shadow of the Colossus, followed by Eco, and concluding with The Last Guardian. In doing so, we endeavor to compile a fully comprehensive archive of material, long-form, in-depth analyses and discussions on each character, creature, and location, personal stories from fellow appreciators of Ueda's work, interviews, theories, interpretations, and much, much more. The time has now come for Mr. Ueda's unmatched and inimitable form of ongoing storytelling, world-building, and overall contribution to the artistic validity and power of this medium, the most profoundly moving and life-affirming art form ever, to receive a thorough, intimate, and loving chronicle, now and for posterity, from the very community that has embraced, cherished, celebrated, and resonated with the man, his team, and their work for close to 2 decades. We wish to thank you for the privilege of your time in listening in and watching in, or whatever, I'll find some way to express that, and joining us on this adventure. With that regular rundown out of the way, let's get the show started. Skills. So Logan, how am I gonna do my little audio interludes? Like, what are we just gonna sit there while the music plays?
I mean, heck, it'll make it shorter, or yeah, but we could do that. We could also
We
sit
could,
here and
we could just do that, yeah. It's
listen with our
usually
eyes.
it's a little stinger, and what I'll do is when I'm doing it, I'll I'm maybe gonna cut this out again. It's really an accountability thing. It's like going video. It's like, okay, I'm actually editing video now. This mattered like a lot. Like, it mattered before, but like, for example, when I say let's get the show started, I'm actually gonna cut to a bit of Phaedra footage. Like, why not? You
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah.
And on each of our feeds, there'll just be a little bit of Phaedra battle with a bit of music, and then it'll
Nice.
cut back
Well,
into it.
yeah, that's more work for you, but it'll look cool. So
It'll look cool. It'll look cool. Oh my god, yeah. But see, you need a bit of insanity for when you're doing this sort of thing. All right, sweet. Okay, and 3 and 2 and 1. So Logan, how have you been in the past couple, let's say 2, maybe 3 weeks that it's been since we last spoken?
yeah, it's been a while since we recorded, and nothing really ever happens in my own life, but obviously
Fuck.
I mean, yeah, like, so I pretty much only ever talk about pop culture when we do these little uh flashbacks to how we've been, but there's been a lot happening in that respect. I mean, in
Okay.
terms of gaming, I finally finished streaming this game Siren, which is a PS2 horror game
Oh
from the creator of
yeah,
Silent Hill.
A
Yeah,
mermaid.
and I mean that.
It was sorry, I'm just thinking, was it named was it known by a different title in different countries? I think it was
It was, but it was called Forbidden Siren in
Forbidden
Europe.
Siren. There you go, that's the
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I really like
Um,
that, the art direction of that one.
yeah. I mean, the game is really interesting. It's a super frustrating game.
Hmm.
Very difficult, can be very annoying, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, the art direction, the sound design,
Oh yeah.
the visuals, and the story are all super interesting. It's this sort of religious melding of in Japanese mythology. It's really interesting. The story is non-linear. It's out of order.
Yeah.
Um, really cool game, and I mean, this game is I'm connected to this game because I saw an ad for it in Game Informer when it came out,
Yeah, I'm
and at that
remembering it back
time,
now as well. Go for it.
yeah, I was not into horror games. I would not be into. I don't even know if I'm still into horror games. And there's a little visual thing for anyone who's watching the video.
Yeah.
Um, and I wouldn't be into horror games for many years. Yet for some reason, I think reading about this Japanese story with this, especially the non-linear story mechanic, which they highlighted in the ad, it was the kind of ad where it's almost like a little sponsored article.
Hmm.
But you can tell it's an ad, and they just tell you a lot of stuff about the game, a lot of words. And I never forgot that game. And it
Mm.
was really interesting to me. I just remember one day I think I saw there was a PSN sale, and one of the games was Siren, and I said, "Wait a minute, this is on PS4 somehow?" And yeah, they ported it. It's like a PS2 classic, and I said, "Well, it's Destiny. You know that it's on
Mm.
sale." This is this random game. I never forgot it. So I got it. I started streaming it. That was about 2 years ago.
Mm.
I streamed it on and off for like 2 years. Um,
That's
Looking out
good,
my
man.
window here, and I recently beat it, which is a crazy thing. Right after I started Resident Evil 7, so that the horror never ends.
Yeah, that's
And I'm getting
incredible.
through. Yeah, I'm getting through that now. I'm streaming that because I have a friend who just really wants to see my reactions to it, and that's been a really interesting game. Very very Resident Evil. I think
Mm.
they promoted it like, oh, it's a new dawn for Resident Evil, but I mean beyond the first person perspective, it's very much similar to the old games, which is cool.
Yeah. No,
Um,
and I read a lot about actually and listened to a couple of podcasts about the Resident Evil 7, and it's really well done. Apparently a very very well made game for show. Oh, show.
yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing some opinions on it when I finish. And then I've been getting back into The Binding of Isaac because
Dude.
they released, I think, the final update. Do you play that game?
No, no, I've again, just it's in my explorations. I've read extensively about these things, and
Yeah,
it's ironic that with this network that I run, it actually keeps me sometimes from being able to play these games. It's just
yeah,
producing stuff for
fair
IO,
enough. Yeah,
you know. But no, that's yeah, and I like the
um,
art direction of that one as well. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's that's another game that's had a super long journey on its own. From being kind of this flash game when it started out, and now to being this game that has been endlessly growing every few months. But I think it's the final update now,
Hmm.
and
Cool.
boy, playing that game, that is similar to Siren. It's a tough experience. Yesterday, after maybe playing for 12 hours since I got back into the game, I think I had my first successful run, um,
Nice.
which is insane. Luckily, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I've still been managing to meet some sort of sub goals in the 12
Okay.
hours, but only at the end of that did I finally actually beat the game.
Dude,
That's what I've been up to in video games.
that's
Obviously,
good.
in movies, Infinity War happened, but I don't know
Oh,
if we need to
amazing.
talk about that here.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. We'll have to get you on. We're coming up to the. It's going to be just more cinematically. I mean, obviously, Fumito Ueda is super cinematic, but I want to get you on the David Lynch episode for Death Stranding podcast.
yes.
And yeah, Kojima can't help himself, but he's again magnetically attracted to movies on his like YouTube, on his Twitter feed and stuff. So I think an Avengers conversation may be there. And there's, I mean, you've seen the film, I'm assuming, right?
Which film?
Avengers: Infinity War.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's gonna be. We're gonna have like a mini little cutaway segment on one of the again. I want to have you on the David Lynch one, and
Yeah.
I'm digging the Bowie poster in the background because sorry, the Bowie
It's a
vinyl, the
record. It's a
record.
record in a
It's a
frame. Yeah.
record. Yeah. Because that connection to Twin Peaks and stuff, and little
Yeah,
tease
and
to
Kojima.
go,
There, yeah.
and Kojima, little tease to those who have been following the main Instagram account, and I've since revealed all the different formats of shows. We have uh, ripe for a remake. Ripe for a remake. We have Love at First Play. All those different ones, and one of them is going to be come on already. Like let's make this. Let's make this happen. And I think one of them should be a Twin Peaks. Make this exist. Yeah, that's the one. A Twin Peaks game of some kind. And I
Yeah.
reckon.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you may have heard that a lot of people would say, "Oh, we already have a Twin Peaks game
Yes, of
called
course. Alan
Deadly
Wake.
Premonition."
Deadly
From
Premonition
Japan.
or
Yeah.
Alan Wake. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's going to be what we're going to. Yeah, at one point it's going to be cool to get that all set up, and I'm guessing you would want to be on the How Would a Twin Peaks Game Work episode.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the thing definitely for, and I think we discussed this a while back when you think of franchises that I would want to be games, the one that immediately came to my mind was Inception.
Mm,
And that's something I think about that would be cool to talk about. But
I dig it. I dig it. All right, well, let us crack on with my favorite Colossus, Phaedra,
right.
the fourth Colossus. And this is in terms of numbers, like my favorite numbers are like 5, 3, 12, and 9. I think, yeah.
None of those are my favorite numbers.
Yeah,
That's
there you go.
interesting.
Diametrically opposed human beings. And yet she, well, I just say she because Phaedra is a very female-sounding name, is, fourth Colossus. And I'm like, how does that even work? Like, I just, we're going to get to, obviously, when we discuss like the fighting and like the animations and everything, but there are certain little things that it'll be you'll know why she's my favorite for sure. But so listeners, if you are joining us after a while and don't know kind of our usual thing, we have a couple of segments on the show. So after our kind of weekly catch up, we're gonna just do a mini little overview based on one of our who is now becoming a VIP. This person who is like, how do you experience the Colossi? Like he gave us these questions and they still haven't gotten in touch. But
no, I got in touch with them.
Just to say. Oh, you got in touch? Fantastic. And they replied?
I guess and I must have, it was probably in between while we weren't we weren't recording episodes. Let me just find it right here.
That's cool.
TG Monsamana, which I remember was oddly similar to one of the names of the patrons.
Oh.
I don't know if that's connected at all. But
they may be a stealth patron. Sometimes I have those that they just
I don't know.
They like So could be. And so we'll be going through those questions as well. But yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, no, if you want to, he just said, he's, he hasn't had the chance to listen to us yet, but he's obviously totally fine with us using his format.
Oh, that's great.
And he did even float some suggestions for topics to talk about with Gaius, which I think we did cover about how he's like a knight.
Yes, we did.
But yeah, it was cool. He talked about, the third fight is kind of like an honorable match between two warriors, and it takes place in something that looks like an arena. So, he was trying to give his own two cents. So yeah, nice guy.
He's legend. And we'll have to get him on the show at one point, I'm sure. All right, so because I'm OCD, I'm just going to quickly show the web camera thing again. There, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So I just showed him a photo, or rather the post, which is the 7 different, again, what did I say, 3, 5, 7, 9 and 12, even though I didn't mention 7 last time. So we got Make This Exist, which is talking about games that should exist, Ripe for a Remake, which is talking about games that deserve remakes, The Future Calls, which is talking about games that are releasing in like the far future. And for those ones I have I consider them to be inevitable, is Alan Wake 2, Elder Scrolls 6, GTA 6, Final Fantasy 16, Mass Effect 5, which they will come back to, believe me. Final Fantasy 7 Remake, it's at least 2020, I think, that one. Halo 6, Cyberpunk 2077, unless they drop a bomb and they release it like next year because they're bringing it to E3 this year. Mm-hmm. Ken Levine's new game, Sleeping Giant, which is Ueda's new game, and then the 2 Star Wars projects, which look like they're way delayed, Respawn and EA Vancouver. Avatar 2020, which is the game that's going to be releasing alongside the Ubisoft are doing a thing where they're like sharing the James Cameron assets. It's going to be phenomenal with this game, and we're starting a podcast for that here as well. Game of Thrones RPG, which is the rumored thing that Bethesda are working on in secret. that is going to probably come out after the last season, like essentially Skyrim in Westeros. Portal 3, which I just think it has to happen at one point.
Do we want it? Do we want it to happen? Though is the question.
Uh,
Personally, I don't know.
I think that you can do something with the anti-gravity out of space. Again,
Sure.
we'll discuss that for sure. But go ahead.
I would say as long as Chella's not in it at all,
Okay.
I would be okay. I would be okay with that. But if she is, then no.
Yeah. There you go. And then
That's my
yeah, no, for
personal
sure,
feeling.
for sure. And then the last one is Beyond Good and Evil 2. So that's for the future calls. Then our 4 others are Come On Already, which I've since renamed it. It's not Come On Already anymore. It is, and again, my
Different from Make This Exist.
it is, yeah. Come On Already is talking about sequels to games that just need to be made. So Conker's Bad Fur Day 2, Brutal Legend
Okay.
2, Gimme Prince of Persia 9 or whatever. Bloodborne
Bully.
2 has to happen. Dino Crisis 4, Bioshock 4, KOTOR 3, Jade Empire 2, Banjo Kazooie 3, Medieval 3, the next Soul Reaver, Vagrant Story 2. It's like, come on already. It sort of makes you say that. That's right. Then we have Love at First Play, which we've already done the first one, which is a Vagrant Story. Tonight I'm recording the Kingdom Hearts episode in time for with my sister.
Check that out.
Faux show. It's my sister Silverland cosplay. Yep, go for it.
The first Kingdom Hearts game is my favorite, which is I don't know how common that is because I think generally
it's
2
my
is
favorite
favored
too.
in the fandom. Yeah, but I think Kingdom Hearts 1 really has this sense of purity to it and kind of imagination that is that 2 doesn't really have quite as much.
You need to do as you did. It can be audio only if you want, because I want to cut away to it. Would you like to do something where I can you want to speak to it maybe just for like 10 minutes, or what's Logan's sort of 10-minute, 15-minute thing about Kingdom Hearts, and just bring up an old magazine or something, and feel free to reminisce away. I'm happy to put that in the episode for you, man.
Yeah, I don't know how much I would have to say, but I can get into it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The second last is it's simply called Upcoming, which I'm going to be retitling the old episodes to kind of because initially the main show was just upcoming shows, and it was like, okay, it's just upcoming games. It's like that's great, but for our main show we want it to be more versatile. So then we have talking about games that are on the way. So Detroit Become Human, Jurassic World Evolution, Shadows Die Twice, Left Alive, Biomutant, Dragon Age 4, Anthem, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Spider-Man, Scorn, Banner Saga 3, Days Gone, Metroid Prime 4, Ghost of Tsushima, Kingdom Hearts 3, Psychonauts Wild, which is the other game that Michel Ancel is making, Medieval, Ancestors, which is the game that the guy who created Assassin's Creed is making, and believe me, I think after all the kind of crazy stuff where he sort of left and now he's doing his own thing, I think that's going to be interesting. It's called Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey, so it's pretty interesting. And then Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Vane, Pray for the Gods, and so that's upcoming. And then I know, right? I know.
No, Vane and Pray for the Gods, they are really continuing the Last Guardian legacy of never coming out.
Never coming out, exactly. Then our last one is going to be called What Could Have Been, which is talking about games that should not have been cancelled. And it's all 3 of them are Star Wars games. So Star Wars 1313, Star Wars The Visceral Game, and Star Wars the Darth Maul RPG, which made me want to tear my own hair out. Because I saw some of the pre-alpha footage of that. It's like, why? it's
I've never heard of it.
Yeah. So Game Informer did a bit of you can look it up actually. There's if you have free time later to look up some of the that amazing stuff. My gosh, that they made there. But anyway, so let's crack on. So have you played Phaedra recently, by any chance?
Only when I played her in the remake and probably in Time Attack as well, a couple times.
Yeah, that's cool. I played. Went through recently. And yeah, so let's just do this. So I want to give my little spiel because it's we're in the overview section. So the thing about Phaedra is it's weird. It's weird, and this is I made this show in one way specifically so that you could get all these stories out. Sadly, when I do post about things, we're not getting as many stories from people, but I really want it listeners, if you're we would love to get some voicemails and such, because we're going through these Colossus and it'll be kind of awkward to say we get to like Colossus 13 and then everyone suddenly realizes
Yeah.
Fumito Ueda podcast exists and they're like, oh, but I have a Gaia story, oh, I have this or so, you know. So yeah, definitely send those in because we don't want you guys to miss out.
Yeah,
But
and if you have something that's just like, oh, Barbara reminds me of my dad because my dad has a beard, then like you can send that in, like that's okay.
literally
If it's
anything.
good, we'll read it. I mean,
It's good, yeah. It's just something that you wanna, if you want to just riff about anything, really, you know. And so for me, there's a little stinger to just also to get this, always get the sappy stuff out of the way. I say is yeah. So there was a song called and the refrain was "Phaedra is my name," right? Do you remember that one? It was like
no,
Phaedra is my
a real song.
yeah. So Phaedra is my name. It's by a band called Some Velvet Morning, right? Yeah.
I guess Phaedra is a mythological figure. I never really looked into Phaedra very much.
Then if you type, and this just sounds random, but if you type Kate Moss after that, it'll bring you to yeah, Primal Scream. So that was the band. There you go. So some velvet morning when I'm straight, I'm going to open up your gate. Some velvet morning, I'm going to open up your gate. Flowers growing on a hill, dragonflies and daffodils. Learn from us very much. Look at us, but do not touch. Phaedra is my name. So those are the lyrics, right? And I was like mainlining this song during a super intense emotional time in my life. And it was just, again, just with, music, sometimes a bit better than games because, hey, mediums are what they are relative to everyone else. But for me, like just going on like a walk on going for like a walk on the beach to this song in particular, it was just like it zenned me out. Like there was some intense stuff happening for me in the past, and it's just yeah. So has a immediately nomenclature wise kind of link to just like comfort and like solace and peace. And then listen, Logan. Where like in terms of the arenas, like I'm getting angrily passionate now. In terms of the arenas um, where you find the colossus just chilling, you can't outdo Phaedra for me. It's so
It's
peaceful.
a very good one.
It's beautiful. And we covered on one of the previous episodes that like I ran straight towards it. I missed like I was like
Yeah.
I start out, I haven't played Shadow of the Colossus, I go down into the valley and I beeline for it, even though I've never like it's crazy. And I didn't go to Valis, I didn't go to anything. I just went straight to. I was
Yeah.
like, and I just chilled out there. I was like the cairns. It's like okay, this is beautiful. And then I was like, okay, well maybe I should follow where the light of the sword goes. So another thing where I just without any guidance, I was immediately drawn to Phaedra's area, and I would chill out there. That's like the perfect picnic place. It's fantastic. It's really cool. What's your quick little spiel about Phaedra, man?
Um, well, I mean, I also really love the location if that's what we're sticking to for now. It's the Verdant or Verdant. I don't know how
Verdant. Yep. Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's very lush, and obviously that works well with what the remake's trying to portray.
Mm.
And it also has this random kind of deep cavern, and the I guess obviously the mound in the middle makes you kind of think of a burial mound,
Yeah, that's it.
which is interesting because it's like sort of a grave site in a way, but it's like a happy grave site, kind of like I don't know, it makes me think of the end of Wuthering Heights oddly because they're talking about how even though there are spirits and there's death in the ground, it is still a happy place. I think.
Yeah,
And
I love
yeah,
that.
so it's an interesting I guess dichotomy there where it does kind of make me think of some kind of burial mound. But then Phaedra is really cool because like Nick says in his book, like Phaedra's really the first colossi that you can see before you get to it. Even with Gaius, you can't really look up onto the platform and see him
Yeah,
until maybe a split second before he's waking up. But with Phaedra, you can see it from far away,
she's just
which is
chilling there.
very
She's just
interesting.
like with
Yeah.
her legs sort of folded in like a camel, you know,
Mhm.
just being. It's really cool. I dig that, man, for sure. Yeah, and also out of all of the names of the colossi, Phaedra's just nomenclature-wise the most beautiful. Like you wouldn't name your daughter Barba, you know, you,
Yeah, and I mean,
but you could name your daughter Phaedra,
and you really gotta think about it at this point. It's like that Fumito Ueda didn't think of that name. So it's just another example of like, why are these fan names so
I
good? Like
know.
no one knows. Like they just came from the ether into the fandom. We're like, okay, this is it. This is the names you're gonna use forever. And they're like,
Logan,
okay,
Team
all right.
Galdus. We created Galdus. Let's make it happen for that new creature, my man. You
Yeah,
know that he's not gonna name it. You know that he's not gonna.
what was
So
that
let's
again? Oh, that's
uh,
the new guy from Game 4.
Galdus. Yeah,
Yeah,
Galdus. Because I
nice.
looked up and like it's like connected to Latin and like something that
Mm,
shines out from the darkness, and I was like, oh well, there you
yeah.
go. Like this thing is like this albino thing in the darkness. So we will see, though. We will
I
see.
mean, I just can't believe E3 is coming up, and we may very well get our first footage. I
I
think
know.
I'm ready.
Me
Like
too.
I think I'm ready, but I know I'm not. Because
No way, man. And we'll have to. I'll have to again take the technology up another notch. Where if we do hear heavy rumors, if it's like, oh yeah, it's happening, then I'll have to figure out some technological way of you and I like maybe
ooh,
live
yeah,
streaming while it's
we'll see.
happening.
Yeah, yeah,
That would be cool.
we'll see
Because
about that. Yeah.
we will see about that. Sweet. Well, so there's our little overview of just kind of our vibe, each of us um, with Phaedra. But hey, you teed me up perfectly, man. So here's our mini little news section. So for that, it's very simple. This is what I have on my phone. I just have this. This is like a impromptu life hack, people. So you can just bring it up. You can just go if you go Fumito Ueda. New game, right, in Google, and then if you got an iPhone or whatever, you can save and you go to news, you save the Google search as an icon, like an app
Mm,
on your screen, and I just hit it
nice.
every day.
That's
So
great. Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So the first thing obviously is third editions. Surpasses the Kickstarter fundraising goal to have the book that they wrote. Mensher, I think the guy's name is, who I've actually invited onto the show. He's like, I speak
Oh
French.
yes, the
Yeah,
French book. Yeah,
Damien Mensher, that's his name. Yeah, it's being translated. It's
that's
fantastic.
awesome.
Yeah. And so like because I have very limited French, and Ray helped me translate some parts like here and there. But needless to say, it's this beautiful book, listeners. Oh my gosh, go check it out now. Obviously, it's just the French version for
In
now, but mhm,
in the Google News headline list, is it just me or is the picture for the article about this like a Sesame
really weird.
Street
Yeah,
thing?
it's a Sesame Street. Yeah, it does the same thing as Reddit, which is whatever image features first, even if it's an ad, sometimes it'll pull that image and create a preview out of that for some reason. So I'll read from the press. Unless, did you want to read from the press release with your amazing presenting voice? You can do it.
I think you have a better one than me. You should go
Okay.
for it.
Thank you very much. You're lovely. All right. So Toulouse, France, April 9, 2018. French publishing house Third Editions has successfully concluded their second Kickstarter campaign to fund the English translation of 4 new books focused on a gaming series beloved by players around the world. The campaign set out to raise 60,000 euro, £54,000 and 74,000 USD, presumably, to fund the translation books within the Final Fantasy, Dark Souls, and Zelda series, and successfully raised 125 euro. Shit. And approximately $154,000 at the time of this writing. At the time of closing, rather, sorry. So to almost 2,000 backers, surpassing a stretch goal to translate a book on Taro Yoko's works. Do you know who Taro Yoko is? Should we know? Okay, well then we're gonna cut away to Logan for the Taro Yoko minute in a second.
But no, I haven't
I
even played any of his
know.
games. But
I'm kidding. It's
yeah,
all good.
I am an admirer from afar who would
Okay,
like to play his games.
Logan is just at the foot of Taro Yoko's balcony. Like he
Yeah,
hasn't actually,
with
they haven't met, but he just sort of yearns.
suppose.
I'm kidding. All right, so you can view the completed campaign, obviously, but then let's cut away to our amazing Fumito Ueda relevant news. So after successfully achieving the campaign's fundraising goal within days of its launch, which is fantastic. Shout out to you, Damon Michel. We need to get you on the show to celebrate, and maybe
Ooh,
even have Nick Sutner on it, so you guys can talk like writers of Fumito Ueda-tastic. It'd be great to host that, wouldn't it be, Logan? The power of Fumito Ueda writers like clashing would be cool. All right, so or like weaving their awesome knowledge into one cool episode. So Yeah, after successfully achieving the goal, Third Editions is proud to have offered additional fundraising rewards to backers who participated, as dictated by each supporter's pledge. Third Editions achieved further stretch goals for ebooks, dust jackets, lithographies, which is a great word, and bookmarks for backers. Third Editions also announced the future books planned for translation for audiences around the world to enjoy, including the work of Fumito Ueda, The Legend of Dragon Quest, Fallout, History of Mutation, and The Legend of Final Fantasy 6, I believe that is. So just they just don't know how to not be awesome. It's in their like blood. It's in their bloodstream. I love these guys. I love them so much. They're so kindred to interactive artistry, and I put that in my letter to Damien. And whatever, man. I'm working on my French. We'll make it happen. And I'm gonna send you a link to this video and a timestamp to this very moment. IA congratulates you. That's amazing. Well done.
Oh yeah.
For sure. And we sit pretty on our $39 on interactive artistry Patreon. Yes. Listen, everyone gets started somewhere, okay? Okay, so there you go. That's our main news, man. Anything else that you've heard scuttlebutt about in the dark web of Reset Era or anything like that?
No. There's some stuff I'm trying to. I need to set aside some time for this. I remember when I mentioned that the screenplay for Shadow of the Colossus from 2010 had come into the possession of a YouTuber, and he shared a few pages on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, as it turns out, he did a full live stream where he went through most of the screenplay.
Okay.
And I asked him on Twitter, well, you did a live stream where you spent 4 hours and you probably showed most of the pages of the screenplay. So if you did that, then surely maybe you could just share the PDF with me. And I could read it. He didn't respond, so I need to go through my plan is to go through his whole Twitch stream, and I guess like try to take a picture or like transcribe the screenplay, which is kind of a large undertaking. That's
I can
something
help
wanna
out,
do.
whatever I can do.
I think it's like a more of a one man thing. I just have to be watching this whole stream and then just kind of pausing it and clipping photos or just writing something in a screenplay document. But that's something I would love to do, because then we'd essentially have a copy of the screenplay that we could read. Maybe he'd get pissed at me if I did that. I don't know.
Just do it, man. Seriously.
Yeah,
I mean, especially once you've reached out and everything, you know?
Yeah, and aside from that, there's also something I've been thinking about, which especially one of my followers on Tumblr messaged me about this last night, and I was like, man, someone should really do this, which is going through the Last Guardian cutscene and just trying to figure out what the boy's name is. Because we know that his name is Sed. Nick says that in An Extraordinary Story.
So his name is Sed, huh?
Yeah, his name is Sed in one of the cutscenes, it's just not subtitled.
No, I'm making a joke as in SED, that's his name. Sed. Anyway, go for it.
And I feel like no one's kind of made a good effort to go through those cutscenes and do that yet. So
well, that's us.
I would like to do that. The hint, which is, and this is the thing that my follower brought to my attention. I should actually say what their name is here. They go by.
They do not deserve to be named.
Yeah, they go by Dancing Doe on Tumblr. Dancing-Doe.
Oh, cool. Nice.
And they're a good follower of mine. They've messaged me about several things. The hint that they reminded me of, which is that in the book, Nick actually says, he says this. He says, listen closely and remember that he's one of the chosen ones, which seems, and I totally forgot about this from when I read the book, to be a hint that the boy's name, when it is said, it is near that line, being among the chosen ones. And I looked at that scene. I went and looked at that scene. Right before that line, being one of the chosen ones, the old lady who watches the boys has an unsubtitled line. So it's like, we just need to kind of look at this line that she says, maybe go through all the other cutscenes, compare, transcribe them phonetically, see what happens. That's another thing I'd like to do, but that's not real news. Those are just things that are related to Ueda that I would like to get done.
That's cool. Wiki, Isarapea. Like I know. It's beautiful language. Oh my gosh! And I was actually looking for a while for like a Unitext whatever format, so I could just like add some of that stuff to some documents or to like thumbnails or whatever. Sadly not. I think it was transcribed, but no one's actually created like a Unitext font or whatever. And I think Unicode. Sorry, what am I saying? Unitext. Oh my gosh, I swear I'm actually I went to school. Yeah, but no, that's awesome, man. Please do. That's really great. I had this endeavor to transcribe all of the lost pages. As in all of the podcasts, and a really nifty little trick. You can actually go to YouTube, and it's such a like mind-blowing moment. A lot of people offer up their transcripts because they create the automatically created captions. So you can do a right click on any not any video, but lots of videos, and you can just say download or just open up transcript. You just go Control Control C, Control V into a document, and you've copied all the sort of subtitles and stuff. So it's really great for interviewers, for example, because the software of YouTube itself creates a transcript. Like, that's amazing. You know, that used to be like you had to buy like a $200 Snapdragon software for that sort of thing. So thank you, YouTube. Really, really cool. Another little life. It's like the life hack podcast. This is what's happening. So that's cool. Well, yeah, that's mostly the news for both of us, I think. So let us jump into. And it's always good to give the Reddit a shout out, even though we're not. I wouldn't say we're spurned by them, but I'll just say there's just like benign indifference towards us.
Reddit,
you know? Team Eco Reddit. What do you reckon, man?
Yeah.
What would you say that benign indifference?
You could say that, but I think that's just Reddit. You know, it is.
Yes, sometimes it's just Reddit, but it's okay. Like, again, zero pressure or whatever. But like over at Death Stranding Reddit, like John Nick Reddit, shout out to you, pinning our episodes and stuff.
Yeah, that really surprised me. That is non-standard for Reddit. I would say, you know, that's the exception to the rule that they are embracing your podcast.
So
very nice.
Really, really nifty. And God of War podcast right now, Logan. Let's do a little game here. So when I started with God of War, getting that set up, we were at about 6,000 subs, right? That's actually being generous. Guess how many subs there are now for God of War subs for God of War?
Oh man, probably over 100K.
Right? Wow, that's kind of you. No, 35,600.
Oh, okay.
In the span,
I would think it would grow a lot from.
Oh yeah.
It'll continue to grow, I'm sure.
In the span of like 3 weeks. Yeah, it's just poor mods. Like, it was such a small sub before. I remember I literally like it feels like
I guess subs aren't as big as I thought they were. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was thinking, you know, the Gorilla sub has over 100K, so surely God of War can make it there.
You like that band Gorillas, right?
Oh yeah, they're probably my favorite band.
The future is coming on. I ain't happy. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, dude, why the hell doesn't a Gorillas full-blown third-person platformer RPG exist?
I don't know what that would be like.
You're gonna be on that episode.
They're trying to do a TV show, so we'll see if they can get that done.
Oh boy, come on! Like, you have everything with amplitude and everything. You could do music stuff. Like, again, that's what the Make This Exists. Yeah, the Make This Exists are gonna be good.
I haven't thought of a Gorillas game, so.
Well, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Logan is confirming that he will indeed be recording with Interactive Artistry for the Make This Exist Gorillas Edition, premiering a month from now. I don't know. I always need to try and sound like I know what I'm doing when it comes to like, oh yeah, the 18th
you do sound like that.
Well, thank you. The 18th of July I'm cornering you for that. Unless, is there an upcoming Gorillas? Like, I sometimes like to time it to, because you know the band. What's their anniversary? When did they get started, or when did their first album come out?
I think it was 2001. I think it already passed.
Okay, that's okay.
For the self-titled.
Okay. That'd be cool.
March 26, 2001, yeah. But
so
I mean, there's stuff going on with Gorillaz in the background, the current stuff all the time. There's another album in the works. We don't know when that's going to come out.
Okay, that's cool.
There's always anniversaries. I mean.
Yeah. I think the reason why it's not an what is it, the algorithms thing of like release an episode when it's relevant for me is just like, it's just something else we can talk about. So for example,
good to do that, yeah.
Yeah, if they had like a thing that came out in July or whatever, then I would be like, okay, well, hey, the band formed in July. Let's whatever anniversary, let's talk about it on that day. Okay, I hear like a vacuum cleaner in the background.
Yeah, you do. I'm not sure why someone's cleaning pretty dang late
Wow.
today, but it's. I think they're going right outside my room right now, so that will
Okay.
subside.
Well then, let's chill.
Subside in a second there. Yeah.
I'm just doing a little dance.
Yeah, look through some stuff on the Reddit.
Dude, I'm see all this is getting cut out. And dude, I'm just like it's gonna be going to video is incredible. I'm just thinking I love it because I did the Red Dead Redemption thing. I didn't sleep that day. I worked for about 12 hours straight on that.
Oh wow.
I know it sounds really dumb, and they're like, "Wow, don't you Photoshop? Don't you?" It's like I had to learn everything, man. You know.
Yeah, well, hopefully it'll be easier for you now.
Yeah, now it's cool. I've got things set up as well. But for this one, yeah, for the interludes, I want to have a bit of Phaedra footage there, which again, it's just about finding that footage online. And I have our little screensaver. And did you see the even a quick cutaway to, or rather, just like a thumbnail of the Red Dead Redemption video that I made with just me? Did you see that at all?
I watched the video, so I'm
Oh,
not sure
that's
exactly what
fantastic.
you're describing, but yeah.
Okay, no, what I'm describing is see that format. What I want to do is see there's that blue background, obviously for interactive artistry main show. I want to do one for maybe hire someone actually if they really want to do a Fumito Ueda themed screen. Where it's just like crumbling kind of rock or whatever and vines and shit. I don't know. That might be cool.
Yeah, no, I know you did the devil horns in the thumbnail
Yeah, yeah. That's the one. Yeah. So, but yeah, for that video, it's just sort of two screens. There's me in the top left, and then Red Dead in the bottom right. So what I would want to have is you and I are going to be side by side, and all the other information like your handles and stuff, your Tumblr, just to get things ingrained into folks that when they're tuning in. Now, I'm hoping I'm actually going to have to maybe change the banner now and say, hey, we're doing video now, so it's just how YouTube works. It's how modern content works, and I really am a big proponent for just reaching as many folks as possible. And some people they prefer video, some people it's just being more flexible. So,
there.
and it's a cool endeavor to do. All right, sweet. So that is our quick little. Oh, actually, we didn't even get into Reddit. We just talked about Reddit.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
Amazing. All right, so let's go to Team Eco,
Yeah, well, I'll tell you
which
what I do on Reddit is and I just remembered this. You can do this thing called a multi-Reddit, where you can
okay.
combine several subreddits into one list of the most popular posts, and that's a great way because you have these three different subreddits. It's like, oh God, why are there three? Um,
Okay.
and that's something. So I combine them all into one multi-Reddit called Gen Design, and it shows me every popular post from all three, which just makes it
What the
easier.
hell? Is this on the app or on the desktop?
I don't know if it's on the app. That's a good question. I'm doing it
Yeah.
on the desktop. Yeah.
Gosh, here's the thing. I actually have this band that I follow that I'm like really looking forward to their work. Ghost. Shout out to some of the folks on that Reddit who have agreed to do an episode with me on like a Ghost game. Which again, I'm not just like let's turn a bag of sherbet into a game. No, it really is things that
This
they
is
put.
a band that also kind of has a narrative element to it, or
Yeah, this exactly. Yeah, so they have this thing called the clergy. It's this real world thing that they released for their videos. And for their just like new albums and such, they have this running kind of series of videos that they produce that show some of what happens in their sort of, as they call it, the clergy or the ministry of Ghost, to whom the band belongs. The leader of the band, Papa Emeritus, has been disbanded, and each of the album cycles has had a new papa, a new pope, sort of thing, the pontiff, and they've all been assassinated now. And this new figure, Cardinal Copia, has now entered the fray, aka Cardi C, and he's basically a Pied Piper of the plague apocalypse type thing. And the first single, Rats, is just if you turn that into 8-bit, and some people have, you turn any Ghost song into 8-bit. It's just give me that fucking cabinet, give me that arcade game. It's and literally, the band Ghouls and sorry the game Ghouls and Ghosts.
yeah.
Yeah, so ghouls are what the musicians are called. They're all nameless ghouls, and the band's called Ghost.
Right.
So it's like
Cool.
it hurts my brain that there isn't like an amazing Stranger Things-esque side scroller like they released that game alongside season 2. Like, yep, these things. It's like I want to just blow out this medium into like all kinds of things. Give me all the things, even a bag of sherbet game. Okay, all right, let's crack on. So the first thing I'll put here is we'll go just shout out to hot posts as always. Like again, that's just a good barometer of what's resonated with people. So user Relly Studies Nerd, all right, 13 days ago published religion and video games research responses needed. So if you're listening to this and you find this intriguing, I'll just sort of give this guy or gal or whoever they are a little shout out. So hi all, I'm currently writing a thesis for the UNC Chapel Hill Relly Religion Department on religion in video games. I'm particularly comparing the themes of human and animal sacrifice in Shadow of the Colossus and the sacrifice of Abraham. I'd like to get some feedback on the questions below. How do religious themes in video games enhance your gameplay? What are your favorite games with religious themes? Do you identify as religious or spiritual? If so, does religion in gaming appeal to you for that reason? If not, do religious aspects integrated in gaming narratives turn you on or off? Do you think exploring religious sacrifice is an appropriate theme to explore in gaming? Why or why not? Are there any other topics or insights about religion in games I haven't asked about that you want to explore? Thank you for your time to answer these questions. If your response seems fitting for my paper, I may use it, and you will be cited as your username appears on Reddit. Logan, if we give good enough replies, we may end up in a thesis, you and I, right now.
Yeah, I'll think about that. I don't know
Yeah.
how much I'd have to say.
Okay. Well,
He's gotten some responses though. See, going by the replies.
Okay. Do you want to read one of them?
Ooh, I don't know. They're a bit long.
Oh well. Okay. Well, you want to step up to actually that is holy shit. I was like, I started talking smack, and then I fucking rolled. It's like we'd be at the end of the podcast by then.
That would be like the subject for the episode. You have to rename the episode and do the religious aspect. Which honestly, I was going to go into a theory later on some religious comparisons in the game. So I guess we were going in that direction. But,
this is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay, so but what I'll read two snippets from each one and just give them shout outs because again these people deserve recognition. Folk Death 95 says, interesting topic. Fictional religions are one of my favorite parts of games, as they are for me. This is me editorializing. The mystery behind it means that it's great for developing lore, and it's always interesting discovering the truth behind religious groups or figures. Skip forward a bit. Religious sacrifice is something that has taken place throughout most of human history, and thus I believe it is an effective way for a game to show importance and hierarchy, even if the reason has been long since lost to the people performing the sacrifice. That just makes me think of Cory Barlog talked about God of War a couple months ago as part of the Game Informer footage about a Mayan setting, and I'm like, oh man, to see like the Toltec and Aztec and Mayan stuff covered, because they were big on, like the Aztecs particularly big on human sacrifice, and just seeing all the stuff that could be done there would be interesting. All right, and he talks about so many things. Horizon Zero Dawn, it's incredible. The Last of Us explores religion in a completely different way. So shout out to you, my friend. And then, I thought it was two people, but no, he just writes another amazingly beautiful, lengthy. Like this is a thesis unto itself. Like what this person.
Where are you seeing these? This is in our video games. There's a separate. Okay.
Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
These are even longer. I was talking about the responses on the Team Eco thread. Which
right.
There are a few responses on there itself, but then there's this there's this essay here on our video games.
Oh yeah, I just clicked into that one. You're right. So all over the place. This is phenomenal, and I'm gonna bookmark this for when we come back to this maybe in another thing, because I want to read some of this stuff out, and it'll give me time to get in touch with all the folks and say if it's okay if I read out their stuff. But shout out to yourself, user Really Studies Nerd, and also your sort of main person who like is just like engaging with you there. So Folk Death 95, it's wonderful to see this medium galvanize that level and that thoroughness of inquiry into these fields of knowledge, education. It's amazing, and culture. Terrific, really good to see. What do you think, Logan?
I'm surprised and happy that I guess that he's gotten so many responses. It's an interesting subject, certainly.
Beautiful, absolutely. Do you have a particular shout out from the Team Eco Reddit, man, that you wanted to do? Just scrolling from the top posts. I'll give them a shout out now.
Someone posted a glitch where they're at the other side of the bridge and the whole entrance archway is glitching out, and that was kind of interesting. That's a post by Syrians.
Okay.
Aside from that, there was not too much that interested me on the Reddit. There was. There's a thread about. Oh, I should read this thread. I haven't seen this until now. There's a guy who I guess is talking about how he wants a free roam version of the game where you can battle the Colossus in whatever order you want, and he wrote quite a bit about that. So that's something maybe I should read. But
Cool.
there was a guy who was talking about he had two complaints, and
Okay.
this is a nice guy. I'm not trying to disparage him. Um, he was talking about he thinks it's like a really bad thing that there are two tiny colossi in the game. He had like a
Okay.
pretty, and I told him this, he had like a pretty intense reaction to like his dislike of Zenobia and Celosia. Um,
Oh wow. Okay. Wow. That's kind of
and
heavy.
that was funny. Um, it's perhaps not as intense as you might think from that, but he doesn't like him. And but the other thing he said, which is something that perhaps is a subject that could be talked about, is how he generally is not impressed with the colossi in general because he doesn't feel like any of them are big enough to be impressive. And
Sorry,
my
it's just too funny. What are you talking
yeah,
about, dude?
that was not my intention to laugh at him. And I didn't, in my response, I wasn't, I said, I'm not trying to belittle your opinions, but I said, I think that maybe what he was doing is he might be looking at the game from a modern perspective,
Yeah.
as opposed to the perspective on the PS2. And he responded by saying, well, the only version he's actually played is the PS2. His thinking was that it might just be because he's older, and he's just being a little more critical. And I said, for me, on replays of Shadow of the Colossus, there is often a feeling that I'm not feeling that sense of wonder with the Colossi as much as I did when I first played the game.
Okay.
And that's something that I can't necessarily recapture. There's I specifically remember actually when I was fighting Avion during the remake, and I was flying around on Avion, I was
Hmm.
like, it just doesn't really feel the same way as it used to for me, and it's something that's a little bit depressing. But I will always understand how impressive it is and was the first time around. So that's what's important, I suppose, even if perhaps the actual emotions aren't quite getting me as much as they did.
Yeah.
But there are moments when I do feel like, oh, this is a big dude that I'm fighting.
No, that's cool. That's cool. And yeah, look, and it wasn't like the laughter just came from like, so for me, if it would be the same as though if you're watching a puppet show and like and beautifully intricately carved, like maybe either those side, those side on and wonderfully made Indonesian kind of puppets, and one of them's larger than the other to portray, oh well, this is the hero, this is the giant, and then suddenly stopping and saying, well, hold on a minute, but that's not big enough. Hold on, like I can't believe this. Like this doesn't fulfill my. And so it seems like a strange thing to be hung up on because clearly, I mean, oh, I can't say a thing right now, but there's a game I played recently where the definition of something. Oh, I can't say a damn thing. Anyway, let's
Yeah,
catch up in a couple of weeks,
wonder
and
what
then we'll
game
talk.
that might have been.
I
But
wonder what game that might have been.
yeah,
But needless to say, you can't get caught up on like, well, oh, you know what? Sorry, yeah, Willow is unwatchable because the trolls in that movie they look like apes. It's unwatchable. A troll should look like, it's like it is. So again, I respect that you had this like pretty civil, it seems, interaction with Logan,
yeah.
but at the same time, I'm just like respectfully like pat on the back, just like priorities, buddy.
And for the
That's
record, he's not. This person is not the only person I've heard complain about Celosia and Zenobia. Some people do think that they don't belong. Some people think that Kuramori doesn't belong. And it's really, I think they prioritize gameplay. They prioritize uniqueness of the fights over
yeah.
the largeness or the goodness of the designs. So
Yeah, it's just different priorities, and again, not. It's just everyone's sharing just their thoughts and being civil, which I love, and no one's saying their viewpoint is better or worse. It's just like, hey, this is just like how people are engaging with this material. So that's pretty much it, I think, for the Reddit. The Reddit is just like, here's the thing with Team Eco over the years since 2001. Not that Reddit was around since then, but the community, we know how to go into quiet mode better than any other community, I think. We like to just like have just like these naps of just like, hey, nothing much happening, it's all good. Although obviously Shadow of the Colossus was great for the visibility, and in fact I know that it actually did permeate further into popular culture with the PS4 release, and with this
Mhm.
this aspect of it being this classic that has endured for so long. And again, it's one thing is you have people paying attention to like filmmakers and certain TV series based on the idea that, oh well, this is still around, and number one. Number two, there's a reason why it's still around because of the timeless themes, the presentation,
Yeah.
the artistry, and how it blazed a trail for these more nuanced, like emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, philosophically rich kind of games, and existentially just yeah, they give you pause, as I like to say. I have to figure out some way of creating like a segment or something, games that make you pause, or like make you actually press the pause button, that give you pause, and you're like, I need to take a break and think about how this made me feel as a human being. I'll figure some other thing. Not that I need another different episode type of the main show. But yeah, no, that's really, really cool. So I think we're kind of good with Reddit, man. We did a bit of Reddit readout, and now let's crack on to our main topic, Phaedra. All right. And you know what that means, Logan? It means we go to the Reddit. Sorry, it means we go to the wiki, the Wikipedia,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's just the spine of our talks.
You
It's
have to be
just
sure to go to the right wiki as well. I think that was when you
yeah,
had Naz on one time. There was some confusion.
oh
There's two
yeah,
wikis, I think.
yeah. I'm up to teameco.wikia.com. Amazing. Ah, she's adorable. Oh, she's also the most adorable, I think,
Do you think so?
of the yeah, because everyone's like, oh, the smaller the better. It's like the
Yeah.
Chihuahua, Solosia the Chihuahua. But and I just also, again, I had, oh man, I won't go too much into it, but needless to say, I had an ex, let's just put it that way, who was crazy into animals. You know how much like Fumito is, just as you've expressed, Logan, loves animals. Like they represent just purity. They represent just like non-contrivance. They're not manipulative. They're not cruel. At least not most of them. And they're loyal. They're like they embody these beautiful qualities of nature, and they're unconditional. Love is unconditional, right? And this person, without naming names, was just like she rode horses, right? And like Phaedra looks the most like a horse, and was passionate about, in quotes, having animals in the house. But it was to the point where, what's sad with animals is that there is the beautiful thing that people do of saving them from being on the streets and saving them and rescuing them. But then there's the horrible thing that I think a lot of people do is they make living creatures their like venting, like their avenues to vent their psychological distress, and to not pay attention to the wider world. Like they just bond to them as an excuse not to actually be a real human being. And yeah, like, and I had this horrible time where I was like, I was off animals. I was like, I loved animals, and then like horses gave me like just conniptions. I was like, because of this, some of the things this person did later, it didn't end well. Let's just put it that way. And so I was just adrift, and this is it's crazy. Yeah, this is literally what the show's about, folks. Is like, as crazy as it is, games shock can actually really embed themselves into your lives way more than just being recreation, distraction, or competition. And they have these connections that you can make with them. And Last Guardian for me, again, I've said is the seminal one for me for all time. But when it came to this, it was like, okay, well. Yeah, I was looking after horses. I ended up resenting horses. I just resented so much of like my love for animals and stuff. And over the years, like I've been able to just like chill, and like gain perspective and realize that, yeah, what is it? Animals are innocent. They're not. They don't have. They shouldn't be tied into anything. Associated with
Yeah,
yeah.
I think we all have stuff like that where there can be something that you see somewhere that can taint
Yes.
something for you. I think a classic example, if is a certain song was playing during a bad moment in your life, and it can be very hard to
Yeah.
separate that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it was very much like that for me. And so then anytime I see Phaedra, first of all, that thing of back in 2003, I was listening to that song and I loved it so much. Number one. Number two is like, well, I really like, it's just like, it's the horsiest of them all. And it just reminds me of like, just how graceful they are, how beautiful they are. And it's just like, I've made peace. So anytime I see, it's like, Phaedra, even the word, like the phonetically, it's just like, it's so like, just peaceful. And in fact, it's not too intensive a fight. All you really need to do is get her to rear up on her legs, climb she's not too crazy,
Yeah.
and rear up the tail, and then you're good. But some people, apparently there's a lot of and I can usually gauge by this when I'm looking for art, is she's not a favorite of many
No.
folks. Everyone hates her, you know.
Yeah, I
Well,
think just a few weeks ago, I think I reblogged some Phaedra art on my Tumblr, and I had to tag it like Phaedra art, huh? You don't see that every day.
yeah, yeah, and she's just like also the most otherworldly. And I have this thing where like I remember being on the Reddit for, if anyone follows and who knows me from the Star Wars leaks Reddit, throughout the period of time leading up to a period of time, a bunch of years leading up to the Last Jedi, uh, I think I may have touched on this a little bit with Naz on her episode, although she hadn't seen Last Jedi at the time. I have complex and mixed feelings about that film, but one thing that unequivocally, again, just like how in life is like shit can be going fucking to hell, but then a dog comes up to you and you're like, oh hi, how you doing? And you just calmed down. So for me, the equivalent of that in that film were the Fathiers,
Yeah,
the space horses. Yeah. What's
yeah,
up?
that I think was the episode where I recorded my own bit for it.
Yeah.
Which one, didn't end up going. The recording wasn't that great, but I think when I listened to that later, I was like a little bit like, is he still talking about those Faviers from the,
Oh
from the movie?
shit.
Like
I
that was
know.
kind and
I'm sorry.
yeah, that I'm always very frank with that stuff. Like, but it's
Do it.
funny to think about,
I know.
when it's not happening.
I'm
Like that's
fortunate to
okay,
have. You're both frank. You're very frank, but you're also very
yeah,
patient. So, but yeah,
yeah,
go ahead, man.
and you're passionate about the fathers or the fathers, and that's okay.
I'm keeping the faith in the failures. All right. First of all, and this is hilarious because the creatures themselves love them, hate the name. Falthea with an L would have sounded beautiful, better. Like everyone listening knows what I'm talking about. That was the rumored name. But yeah, so quadrupeds, and goes into again talking about Trico. He's a quadruped. The archetype mythologically of the beast of burden slash a companion that will carry you off into adventure into another world, right? And I talked about how like those creatures like Clifford the Big Red Dog, whatever have you, like larger than life quadruped can take you on, like even Aslan, freaking hell, from Narnia, the idea of something being like, hey, let's go, let's go on an adventure, Falcor, whatever. I've always resonated with that because. And that's why I think kids, like as a kid, you because like when you're a kid, dogs are huge, they're massive, and so you bond with that idea of this protector, this kind of thing, It's, I think, and of all the colossi, the deaths, I mean, some people be like, it's pretty understated. She just collapses, It's just like, no, it still hits me in the feels, poor thing. But yeah, so that's me. I went on my little thing. So what's your secondary kind of, I mean, we gave a little teaser earlier, but once we'll just go if you had any other riffs. Otherwise, I'm happy to jump into the wiki with you, man. But was there anything else?
Well, something I did want to say, yeah, is that Nick the Phaedra section in his book is really good. He goes into it sort of ties Phaedra back with horses in video games.
That's great. That's awesome.
And it's a pretty good write up, which is always what I say about the section.
Shout out to Nick Sutner, who joined us on 2 episodes.
Yes.
Legendary guy. Go to Boss Fight Books. Get that book. It's a couple of dollars. Legendary. But yeah, go ahead, Logan.
I mean, he talks about horses, which are, sometimes kind of disposable in games like Red Dead Redemption. He talks about how Epona is the most popular horse in video games. He quotes an article about the difference between aggro and Epona. So I mean, obviously that Phaedra horse connection is very much there, and aggro herself is a greatly designed horse character. She's your friend. And Phaedra is an interesting, weird skeleton horse.
She is. She's really weird.
Yeah, the ribs and oh yeah, this was really funny. That Nick mentions in the book that Phaedra's little braids.
Yes, love them.
He says that they look like peyotes, which are like the Hasidic Jew
yes
curls, which is a really funny thing to say, and I laughed at that because I never thought of that. Certainly.
What, you're gonna get on my back? You're gonna fight me? What's up? Sorry, I had to. Respectful.
Oh,
boy, love Yiddish culture. Love Jewish culture so much, and that's so great. I'm not gonna be able to get that out of my mind now. Challenge is now issued to any artist listening who would like to design a Hasidic Jew version of Phaedra, I will feature it prominently on my body as a tattoo. See, I was like, feature it prominently on the Instagram, but I was like, no, I'm going to get that as a tattoo for sure.
Yeah, but as for the Phaedra fight itself, I don't know if maybe you're still planning to get into that later, if not, I don't know if the time to talk about that is now, but I don't I don't have much to say about that. Really, I think the fight isn't too interesting, which is why Phaedra doesn't really rank among my personal favorites.
Okay.
The gimmick is like it's okay, like it's kind of similar to what you do with Barbara later, but I guess that's on Barbara. Am I saying Barbara?
Barbara. Now you got me all. You got me all Mike Myersing from SNL. Discuss.
Yeah, Barbara. Yeah. But yeah, it's still a very cool appearance. Something I like about the fight is when you stab Phaedra in the neck, and then you kind of have to make a leap from the body to the head, which is like a little mini.
Yeah.
And, that's the same way Nick describes it in his book. Is like it's a little mini moment of tension in the fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, beyond that, there's not too much for me to say about it.
Okay. Well, then that's our cue to just writing a little note about, because I just had a mini epiphany about the setup that I want to have. I just figured out the color for like our screen type thing that we're going to be doing. I've got a particular color in mind now. It's actually the one I'm wearing right now. Oh, well, in that case, I don't need to write a note about it because it's like I'm wearing it. So yeah, so no, I love that, man. Yeah, let's go methodically through the wiki. And now, however, again, to shout out our Gandalf, as we call him, Nick Sutner, who appeared literally out of smoke like this. He was like, "Are you guys doing a Fumito Ueda podcast?" I mean, I reached out to him, but it was roughly at the same time, obviously, as Shadow of the Colossus was coming out. On each and every episode, we like to just give him props. Like he went literally from being on the Game of a Greggy show, discussing it with Tim Geddes and Greg Miller, to like just being like, "Hey, you folks want to talk about it too?" Absolutely. And now he's not only been on our show once, twice. He said he's happy to come on again, and he's gonna help me out in November with the Order 1886 podcast. Awesome. I am pointing behind me to our audio listeners to all of my Order 1886 stuff. And okay. All right, let me get it out of the way. You're gonna roll your eyes, but we talked about On Cinema, obviously, right?
Yes, yeah.
Logan, can you tell me whether or not I am the Greg Turkington of the Order 1886?
Oh, you could say. I think maybe the difference between you and Greg is that your knowledge is maybe a little deeper and more genuine than Greg's is.
Listen. Jaws 2. He's just talking about Jaws 2. See, like originally Jaws was going to be, and it's like, shut up, Greg. It's like,
what's that other movie he likes? Oh God, or whatever that movie was.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just dead. I just die every time I think about that man.
Yeah, I don't think I told you this. I have a and this is something that I got from doing a one-time Patreon donation. I have an I am a Greg Head bumper sticker on my car. From On Cinema, yeah. So that's yeah. It's really good. Every time I look at it, I smile.
Oh my god. I can't do the show anymore, man.
Yeah.
I'm just losing it right now.
Yeah,
I am a Greg Head too. I need that. But you are a legend, and thank you for flying the Greg Head fucking banner, man. That is so good. Oh my god. Okay, that's so great. But anyway, needless to say, so listeners, for those who don't know about On Cinema, there's a surreal / non sequitur / stream of consciousness and like deadpan comedy. Mm-hmm. Though again, the idea is that it's like non-medy is one of the words that they use. It's just this show called On Cinema, and one of the folks there, they have these hang-ups about certain things, and Greg, his name's Greg Turkington, and he's like, Jaws 2 was actually called Jaws 3. Actually, the latest one is when he was trying to, and it just makes you cringe and die inside. Nomeo. Sherlock Gnomes. So he gets a letter supposedly from Tim Burton, and he's like, I didn't ask you why, and he's like reading it on the air. Yeah, go.
Because sorry to steal your thing, but
no, please do. Please go.
Just to explain, because now that's the On Cinema podcast. That that I think Greg's whole thing is that he's a big Tim Burton fan, and when he saw that Johnny Depp was in Sherlock Gnomes, he thought Tim Burton must have passed on this movie because if it's a Johnny Depp movie, they must have asked him to direct. And when he asked Tim Burton this, Tim Burton simply replies like, "Oh, I haven't seen Sherlock Gnomes." And Greg is like, "No, I want to know why you passed on this movie because I know you did." And then there's like been a weird back and forth of letters between Tim Burton and Greg, which Tim
God.
Burton is not actually writing these
Of
letters.
course not.
But
Oh
it's a
my
really
God.
funny subplot in
So
that show.
it's so great. The grievances, like Greg's grievances, as it were, and my thing is definitely the order 1886. I'm starting a podcast about it. I just feel a little bit Greg Turkington about it,
Yeah.
but it's very valid. And yeah, the comparisons I guess stop there. But you know, because like we're not going to put the Order 1886 in the same bracket as Jaws 2 or 4 and Nomeo Sherlock Gnomes or whatever. Like that's not going to happen on my watch. But yeah, needless to say, I can't help it. And if I do get a Greg hat, I'm going to wear it for that episode in honor of you, Logan. So what we like to do, but yeah, needless to say, talking about that little tangent with Nick, he's going to be joining me in November for that. And what we like to do is just I have the book here. Couple little excerpts just to let you know that this man sat down, wrote this book called Shadow of the Colossus, 4 boss fight books. It's beautiful. You can download it super easily. Actually, I had lost the download on my phone, did a bit of cleaning up. Went to my link. It downloaded straight from the email, right? So when you buy it, it stays in your email there in case like things move around. You can always bring it up in my iBooks here. So I'll just read a little bit from here. So in the land of the grass, in the land of the vast green fields. Let's talk about horses. First, our equine companion in arms, Agro, a video game horse like no other. If you let Shadow idle at the start screen, it will sometimes take you in-game to the last spot you saved, where Wanda lies asleep and Agro explores the land by herself, while the camera follows above like a bird. One of the more peaceful, quietly stirring songs keeps her company, an almost Italian or Spanish arrangement of acoustic guitars. It's a beautiful way to see the world more passively as Agro gallops across plains and trots carefully past chasms, exploring the countryside until the next time you need her. Quick, I'll jump in. Does that? I haven't let it idle, man. Does the new one have that?
Yes, it does. Yeah, I
Oh,
when I
beautiful.
streamed the game, and I don't even know if anyone was watching the stream. I just thought it was funny. I think I must have been waiting for one of my friends to start watching. I was on the main menu and it went to that, and I started doing a bit about how this was aggro mode.
Yeah.
As aggro, and I was like, oh, as you can see on the screen here, I'm choosing to go over in this area when obviously I was not actually controlling.
You were just
So,
trolling people. Great.
but yeah, I was watching that. I was watching that for a while, and yes, it is still just as nice to look at.
Beautiful. So beautiful. So it finishes another thoughtful touch by Shadow's creators to further immerse you in the world. So I'll skip forward a few pages because we really want you to read this yourselves. Even at face value, the imagery of Wanda riding Agro across the expanses of the Forbidden Lands is striking and has inspired a range of homages. One that has brought me particular joy is the lesser-known mobile site A Ride into the Mountains, a fantastic little action puzzle game by Sunhead Games out of Taiwan. It clearly draws inspiration from Shadow, whilst with striking pixel art and a smooth-running animation for its horse, which was accomplished by pixelating the frame-by-frame animation of Edward Maybridge's 1878 The Horse in Motion, which you've likely seen as one of the earliest examples of the motion picture. So again, beautiful way of connecting these mediums, which I feel when I think of pioneering DNA, there is pioneering DNA in Fumito and in this in this reference that we just talked about here. And one little thing about Phaedra, let's tease you here. Right, so he does talk mostly about horses because, as you said, the battle is very simple. For me, again, it's not so much about the battle, this one for sure. So Wanda and I are still clinging for life as Phaedra settles back down to earth. A glowing crack on the nape of its neck beckons my sword, and a well-timed stab there makes Phaedra lower her head slightly. I've made her a female. I can't. I'm going to write Nick a Greg Turkington letter about.
Man.
Yep, it's just my opinion, man. Nick Sutner, I couldn't help but notice when I was reading your book that you specified Phaedra as a he, where clearly there are no visible genitalia. Okay, anyway.
And then of course, like I'm Tim over here going like, how long is this letter?
I know. Yes. Logan, please, you are my Tim. Can you please, like, as a favor to me, just have like a heroin fueled breakdown in your life so that you can just
yeah, I'll start vaping.
Just stop. All right, I love this, man. Love you, man. This is so good. Yeah, you need Fumito Ueda meets Tim and Eric. It's happening. So wow, the tone jumps are real. Let me finish. A few brief stabs and it's over. I don't even run from the tendrils this time, standing saddened on Phaedra's motionless body as they whisk me away through the darkness and back to the shrine in our bittersweet routine. This time Agro trots over gingerly to check on Mono as Wanda stirs awake. See what I mean? Like this game, this Colossus in particular, it's just for me. They're each special in their own way, but Phaedra is just in a peaceful game. She's the most peaceful, to me. The way she appears, the way she fights, and then the way she passes, like, really exemplifies just how mellow horses are. They let us ride them. How much more fucking mellow of an animal can you get? Just love them so much. Okay, so on to the wiki, man. Would you like to kick us off with? Are we doing trivia, or are we gonna look at any kind of anything in the middle there?
I don't know. What are these tips and tricks here?
I don't know. Let's have a look. Develop a nickname, Kieran, which is great. I believe that is a Chinese unicorn.
Yeah, something like that.
Height 89 feet, 27.1 meters. Length 100 feet, 30.5 meters. So that's just a couple of infos there.
Yeah.
All right, well, you know what?
Say
Tricks, let's go.
that you can jump onto one of Phaedra's back legs. I don't know why you'd want to do that. Because you can actually do this jump off with aggro. I guess that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, if when Phaedra's leg moves down, if you do a couple jumps, if you can jump up onto a leg and then you can jump up onto its back from there. And that is obviously a big time saver. And time attack probably very difficult to do.
Yeah. I love how difficult she is to kill because I don't want to die. Basically, simple as that. It's really cool. I'll read the next one. So one can also get Phaedra's attention while standing on the hills. Wait until it's as close as possible and then jump towards the dangling columns on its head. In order to do that, the player should be standing on the highest point of the hill. So there you go.
I've never done that.
So upon entering Phaedra's alcove, which is a great word, the short track Green Hills plays. So where is my vinyl? Oi, I am 8-bit. I'm speaking to anyone from I am 8-bit listening. Oi, you guys sent me the poster, beautiful Mark Englert poster. I'm stressing about the vinyl. I'm going to message you soon. Oh my god, I'm freaking out. I really hope it's not lost in the mail. Okay, so that's I'm in the music notes, man. You want to take the next one?
I guess. I think this is kind of the same for every fight. But once Phaedra rises and begins following Wander, Creeping Shadow plays.
We're gonna read that for every single fucking Colossus from now on. I'm kidding. Then the Open Way plays once Wander begins to climb Phaedra, and as it does for all of them. Too easy. Well, let's jump into trivia, and you take it away, my friend.
Okay. Oh, I just closed the page because I clicked the YouTube link for the.
Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end of the episode. Have a fantastic rest of the week, and we'll catch up. Okay, go for it. Hold your goddamn horses. Get it? Hold your horses. Get it?
All right. So, Phaedra, as you said, is 89 feet tall. It is the supposedly the joint fourth tallest colossi, along with Pelagia, who is also my favorite.
Yeah. Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah. And only Malice Quadratus. I don't know. We've been on that hashtag. Hashtag. I don't know what I just said.
Trash. I like that.
Hashtag Quadratus isn't that tall train now.
Yeah.
But they say that Malice Quadratus and Gaius are the only ones taller than Pelagius. So.
To me, because thinking about giraffes and stuff, I'm just saying that Phaedra is the tallest. What the fuck are you talking about? That's hilarious. No, that's cool, man. And I just Pelagia, man, that fits. You are Pelagia, as a person. You even
Wow.
hunch a bit like Pelagia, you are.
Okay.
Watch that posture though, man. You want to have a nice long, good posture having life. I have this weird thing with my friends. I just I'll be meeting them at the cinema. I'll be I'll just I'll sidestep to the side of them and be like, hey, straighten up, man. You don't want to.
That's good advice.
It's good. I used to be a personal trainer, so that's why. Okie dokie. So coming out of the army. So little teasers there of the past. Do you want to tease something about your past? Were you an exotic dancer at one point? Or do you want to tease the listeners with? No.
I used to be able to put my leg behind my head, and I can still do it, but it's kind of painful.
Yeah,
I think that's about all I have to say.
That was the yoga stuff that I did too. Yeah, you and me, and Al Yankovic. For some reason, it's something. So Phaedra's total length is around 100 feet, 30.5 meters, as I mentioned before. Like Pelagia, Phaedra possesses a set of skeletal ribs protruding from its underbelly. So clearly, both of our favorite colossi
Yeah,
aren't getting enough to eat.
they're like brothers or something.
Yeah, rib brothers. It's like, hey, you're anorexic too. Great. Oh boy. You take the next one, man.
Yeah, Phaedra makes very unusual sounds. When stabbed by Wander, it makes a very high-pitched, almost deer-like whining/yelping sound. The noise is
Hmm.
somewhat similar to that made by Phalanx when it dies. Sad face.
This is another beautiful, and this is another again. As we go through this again, really good to have the wiki here, and then just have our notes here to go off of as sort of the spine of the show. Because this reminds me of another reason why I love Phaedra is the deer vibes are so strong. Like even the way she like holds herself, just like because horses and deers they move a bit differently. You know, they're both
Yeah.
ungulates. Is that the word? No, they're not. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So and just the idea of something being cautious about its steps, you know, and just being like really spindly, and this. I mean, I'm thinking again of another well-known fantasy mount, so to speak, the Landstriders from Dark Crystal, you know, which like one of their advantages really is that they're so far high up, like they've got really sort of fragile kind of legs, but you can't really get to sort of the vital kind of areas there, and that's sort of it's great because she's she's fragile, but she endures, you know, like that's kind of my thesis statement on Phaedra, which I love the symbolism of, you know. Too easy. But Pelagia is totally a dude. Like Phaedra's a girl, but Pelagia's a dude, I think.
Okay.
Okay, so that's kind of my vibe off of there. Did you get any sort of deer kind of vibes behaviorally from Phaedra, man?
No. I guess once I saw that it looked like a horse, I never really thought of that. But I can see that.
Yeah, it's got like a horse mixed with a like a it's like almost like a bird. I think the face looks a bit like. Yeah, it's cool. All right, so you take the next one, man.
Okay.
Actually, no, it's me.
Yeah. No, you do that. Yeah.
Okay, so the fight against Phaedra is similar to the fight against Barbara. In both instances, Wanda must lead the Colossus to the entrance of some ruins which he must then hide within. He then has to wait for the Colossus to bend or kneel down, and peer into the entrance of the ruins in an attempt to find him. By leaning down to search for Wanda, Phaedra lowers its head, making the two rock columns dangling from either side of its head accessible. In the
Okay.
fight against Barbara,
If you want to do that.
exactly. Yeah, you don't have to. In the fight against Barbara, Barbara's beard acts as the same point of access, allowing that's like having a name that in the name it gives you how to fight them. I think maybe Zelda did that at one point with like the bot that how bosses are named are like glowing eye or some shit. You know, it's like yeah. I suppose I need to shoot the glowing eye. You know, beard. Barba literally means beard in Italian. It's like, guess I need to climb the beard. So, but anyway, so allowing Wanda to climb up them and onto the Colossus. So that's that riff there. You can take the next one if you want.
Maybe two columns, which we've gotten much discussion today. Dane
Yiddish
going
columns.
Yeah, this says that they could be reins, which is weird. I don't know who would be riding Phaedra, but maybe
Oh.
Dorman. Maybe Dorman. I don't know.
Severed
Phaedra's a
reins.
horse like Colossus.
Oh, I love that. Shit. Okay, this is where Albert takes a pause and realizes, okay, so Phaedra symbolically has like shed her reins. It's just amazing. I love that because the one thing that pisses me off about horses in culture is that we ride them. We should just leave them the fuck alone. Like most animals, we should just leave them alone and let them be, you know? But again, I'm not discounting some of the amazing bonds that are shared between humans and like dogs and humans and horses. And like I know for a fact, like certain like horses are like happier knowing that their companions, human companions, are around. And but yeah, like my main thing is just like leave animals alone. But for the bonds that do exist out there, I'm a big fan, big fan. Coolly. So I'll take the last one. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right. So Dolman's riddle. Which would you like to just speak that out loud so that we've said each of the riddles for each of the colossi in each episode? Go, Logan. Speak it.
Here it is.
Speak the names.
Okay. All right. Thy next foe is, in the land of the vast green fields, rows of guiding graves. It is a giant indeed, but fearful it is not.
Fuck. Nice. That is just so good. Just give me, oh Lord, I just see what I mean. Just out of these little poems, I just want to see. I can't wait for that book, dude. That Fumito Ueda book from third editions is going to be amazing. And I just, yeah, like I'm a big fan of Mastodon. I'm a big fan of Joseph Campbell. Like when certain passages are written in a certain evocative way, you just all you want to do is like just go to that world, I suppose. Which is it's just a dream come true that we have this game. It's incredible, and this story. All right, so yep. So Dorman's riddle, as Logan just intoned, describes the location which houses Phaedra as having rows of guiding graves, which is just a Mastodon lyric right there. It's just so good. Yet none can be found. However, it is extremely likely that the ruins in which Wanda hides from the Colossus is one big tumulus, also known as burial mounds, which is my third or fourth or fifth, or not keeping track, but another huge thing for me is I grew up reading The Hobbit, and the cairns, the burial cairns. For me, burial
Right.
cairns, Hobbit hills, they have this thing of like, oh, okay, so this is a plane, and then suddenly it dips up. And what, are you telling me there's like this little dwelling underneath? Are you kidding me? Like that's my ultimate Airbnb. That's my ultimate like where I want. Yeah, we're going to Iceland later this year, dude. They have these villages, these huts, or rather these kind of cave dwellings that are built into these, or like, I don't know, hollowed out, literally like hobbit holes, right? So that's again a little minutia of life that I love. I love that idea. So how about you, man?
What my opinion on burial mounds?
Burial mounds, anything to do with like just it's for me, aesthetics can just launch you off into this whole thing of like, oh my god, like cairns. Like I'm reading the thing here, by the way, from Wikipedia. A tumulus is a mound of earth and stones raised over a grave or graves. Tumuli are also known as barrows, burial mounds, or kurgans. Plagiarism from Mass Effect for the name of that species, and
Well,
maybe found
Highlander.
throughout.
That's the
Yeah,
villain of Highlander.
Kurgan, exactly, and may be found throughout. Also, I love that because Highlander is such a on cinema at the cinema
Yeah, I
thing.
was thinking it too. I didn't want to say it.
Because we can snap at each other and just be like, "Excuse me, I'm trying to read. I'm trying to read." This is hilarious. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay, shut up.
Okay, shut up now, Greg. Okay, shut up, Greg. Greg, shut up. Shut up. Shut up, Greg. Okay, shit. Oh my god. The tone changes. It's just like I'm loving this. A cairn, which is a mound of stones built for various purposes, may also originally have been a tumulus. Let me look at the etymology of this damn thing. Tumuli. What is this? Latin? The funeral of Patroclus is described in Book 23 of the Iliad. Patroclus is burned on a pyre, and his bones are collected. Ooh, bones, connection, ribs. I'm kidding. Are collected in a golden urn in 2 layers of fat. The barrow is built on the location of the pyre. Achilles then sponsors funeral games consisting of a chariot race, boxing, wrestling, running, a duel between 2 champions on the first blood, discus throwing, archery, and spear throwing, which launches me off into what else could this place be, man? Could it be? Is it literally just burial mounds, or could you see anything else having been held here? Like maybe the ancient civilization having these amazing festivals there, or like
Maybe
what? Yeah, maybe. I'm a big fan of picnics, ceremonies. I love it. If I'm not lazy with the edit, which I'm now forced not to be, I will be showing screenshots or like pictures of that. It's one of my happy places. I know it's maybe a bit morbid for some people describe actually graveyards as being really peaceful, happy places they go to sort of chill out and just be with the quote unquote best listeners, which is the deceased. But I really love it's like it's one of my happy places. What's your like video game happy place, man, that you would like want to be able to go there either mentally or physically when like life is just super stressful?
one I can think of really easily is you might be surprised by this, Super Mario Galaxy 2.
No, that's cool. I love it.
There is one level where you spend most of the level in sort of this weird underwater cave. And then at the end of the level, you come out and suddenly it's just like this beautiful sunset area high up on this mountain overlooking like maybe an ocean or it's so far down maybe you can't even tell. And I
Yeah.
remember that amazed me so much because you're in this sort of kind of dank and deep area, this weird kind of cavey music playing, and then you come out and there's no music, and there's trees and there's birds. And for a Mario game, that blew my freaking mind. I
That's
don't remember
wonderful.
the name of the level off the top of my head, but I often think back to how amazing that was to see, especially in a Mario game.
That's amazing. I love that, man. Yeah. Well, there you go. So, listeners, we again, anything that one thing I'm also thinking is some people might discover this later down the line. Don't think that if you're listening to this in 2019 or whatever, that we don't want to hear about it. Like, message in if you have these things. Like, again, Fumito Ueda podcast at gmail.com. It's just cool little things to hear from folks about, like, oh, what's your sort of video game happy place? So that's kind of your subject or question, community question for the week, if you wanna go that way. Okie dokie. Well, that's my kind of little dive into the symbolism of cairns. Covered the symbolism of horses, and I think one other thing I'll say. Let's see. Two little notes I have. One is the idea of gestalt beings, which we've already discussed on other shows, but particularly for some reason, she has these shapes that I just really could see her like assembling herself out of things found in the forest. Like I could see like someone making. Maybe there is even someone out there who's made like forest sculptures. This is something I did in art school. Is one of our tasks was to go out into like Australian bush and like find all of these like twigs and branches, right? And arrange them into look like figures or animals, like effigies almost. So I think more than any other, maybe it's because of the spindly legs. Like you could make Phaedra out of like wood and like pieces of like dry, driftwood or whatever. Because with someone like Pelagia, it's like you kind of have to be a stonemason to make a Pelagia sculpture. Those front limbs. It's. I could see you, Logan, having a Pelagia like pond in your eventual mansion, which we're going to have when. Come on, like look at its little head there.
It's your favorite, so you should have the pond.
Oh no, dude, we're gonna have ponds for each of us. They're gonna be. I'm not kidding. Interactive artistry gonna be gigantic. This is far beyond anything that could ever happen.
Interactive artistry, housing
Palace.
development apparently.
Yes.
No?
Yes, that's right. There's gonna be see how ridiculous is this? Is like going beyond. I'm already talking about museums and stuff. That's the idea.
Yeah.
Way down the line when I'm like old and decrepit, be really cool to leave that behind. But yeah, dude, there's gonna be Fumito Ueda based housing. It's gonna be a gigantic suburb.
Micronation.
Yes, the interactive artistry micronation, and you're gonna have the Pelagia food court. It's gonna be good. Gonna have the Phaedra. What is it, like a mountain trail or something? Bike riding trail. Oh, speaking of which, this looks like a BMX slash motocross rider's dream, like with all the cans. Like imagine that kind of mashup. That'd be amazing.
Wait, what does?
Well, the cans, they're all like, it's like if you had a motocross bike.
The burial mound. Yeah.
The burial mounds. Yeah, it's funny because we have Ray is actually going there soon for a conference. It's a place called Cairns in Australia. It's just called. It's the plural of a death burial place. And we've decided to call a city Cairns. I mean, isn't it like we're killing it with this nomenclature, man? We really are. I think we've just about squeezed every drop out of Phaedra, man.
Yeah. I should have just enough time to get into that theory.
And then a little bit of the article.
Yeah.
Actually,
we'll see. Yeah, it's getting up there in time, but
it's getting up there. We are getting up there. So I'll say less than 30 seconds. You can shout me down, Tim Heidecker style, if you want. You can tell me to shut up. So my little minutia for this particular colossus, as I described for each of them, and I'm going to come up with a little list at the end, maybe like a publish a picture when I'm done with all of them. When we're finished, we're going over them all. But for this one, it is that last leg. She is obviously a creature that is like, just like giraffes, brachiosaurs. Like they stand. That's one of the defining things is they don't crawl like other ones. They're not low to the ground. They're very tall and proud. And one of the last movements she does, like a little twist, a little touch the animator added, is that she keeps her like left forelimb up straight, like at the last minute, and then right as she's collapsing, it just melts away. It just falls. And this thing, which probably has just been probably alive for millennia, is just like felled. And it's like, that's my little takeaway from that. So do you have little moments that jump out at you for each battle man like that?
Some of them do, but perhaps not from Phaedra too much.
That's cool. Too easy. All right, well, that's Phaedra done. And my friend, go right ahead, and you must go into your theory.
Yeah, so this has been coming for a while now. This is, a theory that I want to highlight. It's not one that I made, and it's something that I really wanted some time to get into because it's a really interesting theory to me. It's by a guy called Uesugi Dono, And this is hosted on GameInformer.com. I can put a link in a comment or in the description.
Sure.
This
Yeah,
episode.
message it to me.
And it is a theory about, it's called The Biblical Origins of Dorman and the Curse of the Horns. And it's really a theory about some of the biblical connections, which, like I said, we were talking about earlier, that Shadow of the Colossus has, and specifically in connection with the character Nimrod. And, I think it's something that we brought up on this show before, which is funny, actually, because the person writing this theory tries to save this towards the end as sort of like a big twist. But it's something we've already mentioned several times, that Dorman backwards is Nimrod.
Yeah.
And, I think beyond that connection and the connection of Nimrod being associated with the Tower of Babel, he was the king who built it. Dorman resides in a very massive tower. Beyond that, I didn't think there were many connections between Dorman and Nimrod. This theory shows that there are kind of a lot of connections. Some of it is super, super interesting. Let me
go into it, man.
Yeah, let me get in my Tumblr notes here because I wrote up some bullet points on this. It's not a hugely long read. It's fairly long. So it's something that he mentions early on, which is something I didn't think of, is that what happened when God destroyed the Tower of Babel. He changed everybody's language around the world, so they couldn't understand each other. All the Team Eco games have different languages, and that's more of perhaps an unintended connection, but it's an interesting one nonetheless. And it goes on from there. Honestly, Dorman's wife was named Semiramis. She was associated with doves, for one. Two.
You mean Nimrod? Nimrod's wife.
I'm sorry. Yes, I mean Nimrod's wife. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. That's right. Yep.
Two. She was not only was she associated with doves. When Nimrod dies, Semiramis gives birth to a son, Tammuz, who is Nimrod's reincarnation. So already, big connection to Mono there, raising supposedly Nimrod's reincarnation. I believe Nimrod's body, when he was killed, guess what? It's torn into pieces. His body is torn into pieces and scattered, apparently.
That's amazing.
Said in the Bible.
As it was with the colossi, yeah.
Yeah. Dorman is often depicted as being very large in size. He's often associated with horns. There's an illustration of him with wearing sort of a headband that has a horn sticking out of it.
Incredible.
And yeah, it's really, I couldn't believe some of this stuff when I read it.
Some of it can't be coincidental. At that point, you're really unless Fumito is he has the whole knowledge of everything in his subconscious and he creates from that. It had to be premeditated, I think.
Yeah, and those the theory, it does go into some stuff that I don't entirely agree with, which is nonetheless interesting. For instance, he suggests that Dorman sacrifices his female side in order to revive Mono, which could possibly explain why when Dorman is speaking at the end of the game, you only hear his male voice, not his female voice.
Oh God, that's so good.
Yeah, the person writing the theory does use this, and I did mention this at the end of our last episode with Nick, to insinuate that Mono becomes the queen. Something I still disagree with, and I mentioned this, that it does make me laugh that there's a part of this theory sort of article where he says, here's a picture of Mono, and now here's a picture of the queen, with the obvious intention that you're supposed to go, ooh, they look alike, and I'm still looking at it going, I don't see it.
Yeah. Logan's going down that hill. They are not connected.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. But still, just a super interesting theory. And just definitely read it. We'll link it. It's one of the more interesting theories I've seen, and just going into these connections that no one knew about.
Beautiful.
So yeah,
that's what's magical about this game, man. It's that it is not just the game is a launching off point. It really is into all kinds of realms: educational, spiritual, psychological, philosophical, cultural, historical. Like Fumito. That's what we're talking about here. That's beautiful.
Yep.
That's what it's about. Thank you so much, man. Amazing.
Yeah, thank you to Uesugi Dono for that theory.
Thank you to Uesugi Dono. Amazing. Now, as we have committed to do, Schmopulations, the article, I've got it up front here. Let's do this. Let us dive back in. Now,
Yes.
do you know where we're up to in this? Listeners, if you're not familiar, it is this extended interview that was done with Ueda back in 2005 after Shadow of the Colossus first came out, or leading up to it, whatever. Would you like to take us away from where we left off?
I don't really remember where. Must have been around Dragon Quest, I think.
It was. It was. We had just
Um,
finished talking about the. Yeah, I see. It said, "Did you play Dragon Quest at all?" And Ueda says, "I did when it came out. I think it was my latter years of elementary school."
yeah. Okay, so we can go from there. So I guess they ask him, what was it about Dragon Quest that caught your interest? And he says, was the beautiful artwork and graphics. It was richly colorful. Are we going back and forth on this, like with the
We can.
trivia, or
Yeah. So
that's
that's the
interesting way
thing.
to
So
do it?
it is an interesting way to do it. Okay, so yeah, you lead the way, man.
So are we
You.
going back and forth or not?
Yeah. So are you saying, okay? So one thing is you want did you want to do an interview thing where you
No,
ask
no,
me
no,
and
no.
I
Oh,
answer?
no, I wouldn't presume to take away his place. I would say we each read a question and an answer.
Right. I like that. I like. Okay, so yeah, I dig that. So for the Dragon Quest at all, played it, caught your interest, graphics. Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, my connection with Dragon Quest, I'm sure it is for a
And
few
then, well, this
folks
is you talking
because
personally.
this is me talking personally. Yeah. This is not Fumito. My current connection with Dragon Quest, and then I'll talk about the connection to Fumito, is I think as it is for many others, and this may be controversial, but I believe Final Fantasy broke through into the mainstream a bit more extensively than Dragon Quest did. However, Dragon Quest did come first, and Hironobu Sakaguchi has acknowledged that. In interviews and such, and the influence is evident there for sure. But what ended up happening is that Final Fantasy sort of took off a bit more prominently, and Dragon Quest is still around and is still doing its thing, but just art style wise, I'm more towards Final Fantasy personally. But again, just like how we hear about him. Being happy to be on Mega 64, to be doing like he's got this super eclectic side to him, and I shared an example recently on I can't remember what show it was specifically. I think it was Death Stranding podcast where the idea of being inspired. I reckon the like it was this the singer from Mars Volta, Cedric Bixler Zavala. He was in an interview and he was asked, or he was mentioning like, oh yeah, Bjork is one of my biggest influences, and then the interviewer says, well, you don't sound anything like Bjork, and he's like, that's well, it says, well, for me, it's not about sounding like her, it's about being inspired by her being herself for me to be
Mm.
myself. And I was like, that's great. So he obviously resonated really strongly with how like Dragon Quest was like its own thing, did its own thing, and had its own relationship with because there's no stylistic similarities between Dragon Quest and Fumito Ueda's games, I would say,
No,
whatsoever. Would you agree?
pretty much.
Yeah. So that's kind of that one there. So I'll take the next little brace of questions. Unless, did you have any riffs on that one at all, or?
No, I mean I like Dragon Quest 8 a lot, but it's just about the only one I played. I have 4 on the DS, but I didn't get too far into it. I should play that sometimes.
Coolies. All right. So Ueda says, oh, so the next question is: it seems that you had an affinity for the visual arts from a young age. Well, that's one connected thing there. There. Did you ever have a premonition that you'd end up doing this kind of work or that kind of work? Ueda says, I think so. I did industrial arts and design in high school, and from that point, I knew that I really wanted to do something involving art or design. So, what are your riffs on this one, man?
Nothing. That's part of his
Self
story there.
Self-evident, definitely. And then I'll add here that in case it's not known for any of the listeners of this podcast, Ueda did the painting for the first Eco. For Eco, he
Mhm.
did that one there, and I believe for the Shadow art that came later, and he did concept drawings and sketches for Last Guardian. I don't believe he made an actual full piece of work, which frustrated the hell out of me because it's like I like things to be like complete in sets. It's like,
Yeah.
Fumito, come on, man, bust out the paints, bust out the brushes, man. But so he was heavily influenced by Giorgio di Chirico, who is a quasi-surrealist painter. So it's really beautiful, and the art is very similar. It's like we was talking about earlier about like, oh, it's about doing your own thing. Even Fumito would say, okay, that's with games, but with painting, I literally just ripped off Giorgio de Chirico, and like down to the palette, like he uses the same thing, and I think there's complete ownership there. So you take the next one, man.
All right. So next they say, did you pursue the arts in college as well? And he says, I did. I was enrolled in the arts department department at Osaka University of Arts, you had to select your major in your third year, and I chose abstract art. I wasn't a very serious
Yay!
student though. Yeah, and that's interesting because his art is not too abstract from what we've seen.
That's right. And I had made my sort of essentially with my body art and stuff. Like I have taken rather. It's still in progress because I'm gonna find ways for it. It's this thing I do on the side called resident art, and it's these patterns that are referencing, and they sort of channeled from the same place that kind of nature makes their patterns, which is supposedly random and abstract, but they each have this kind of design, just like the tessellations in nature, like or integuments is another word for it, I think, and essentially things like coral reef. Like coral looks completely random patterns, but they're made have with a certain symmetry, with a certain repeating. It's what it's called is morphogenesis. So I love that he was like, and speaking of surrealists and abstract, the surrealists back in the day, including Jojo de Chirico, had this thing called automatic writing, which is that you just took a piece of paper, took a pen, and you just vibed it out, and you just felt out a pattern, then you just channeled some emotions into it, and but it did have structure to it. So if you look at any of that stuff, that's kind of something I encountered in my own sort of yeah. What's your sort of relationship with abstract art, Logan?
I had to do some of it for a film class once, and I can certainly admire it, but I've never felt too heavy a connection to it.
That's cool.
Um, yeah, I mean, even someone like MC Escher is considered perhaps surreal, but I don't think it could be considered abstract. So I don't really feel too much of a connection to the very abstract
Yeah.
kind of art.
Yeah. Interviewer says, "How do you mean that you weren't a very serious student?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, the whole reason I selected abstract art is because it's representational. Realistic art took more time," which you can see a little bit with in his games now. It's he doesn't go for photorealism. He doesn't, you know. But with abstract art, you can always just slap something together 2 days before the deadline, and it'll be okay. Oh my god, I can relate to him so much. You and me both, Mr. Ueda. You and me both. I love that. How do you mean? It's like, well, it's part of the same thing. I'll just read it. So, how do you mean? Hey, well, the whole reason I selected abstract art is because, oh yeah, when into that, you're right. It doesn't sound like you were being very serious. He said, as I got closer to graduation, though, I started to feel, okay, this has gone far enough. Aside from the fact that I wanted to do some kind of creative work eventually, I started to worry that if I squandered my time like this, I might never be able to create what I wanted to create. So I started exploring different things then, and it was the start of me really applying myself seriously. So what is your riff about that, man?
Uh, it's good. I think that was, I guess maybe the beginning of him as a serious artist.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we all know what it's like to want to be lazy in college.
Oh God, yeah. Believe me. And with your thing with because Lands of Light and Dark, I'm refusing to believe that it's only going to be a Tumblr. I'm embedding the idea in your mind to write a book because you need to. You need to be like, hi, what's up? I'm Logan. I started out this blog and then I jumped on this podcast. I actually got to speak with a guy, Nick Sutner, who wrote like a major book for this major game. And I see it
Nick's
in the
already written all that there is to write. So
no. See, with an attitude like that, yes. And I just want to see that forward, man. I want to see it's like, yeah, so after doing this whole process and like I'm 30 or 40 now, you don't have to do it straight away, but like at one point when Logan gets to the early 40s, I want you to sit down and write about your experiences, and you have to call the book The Lands of Light and Dark. So it's gonna happen, man. So shall we? I mean, it's a pretty good one to sort of end as a
yeah, I
mini
think so too.
cliffhanger. Yeah, yep, yep. So we're coming up to the 2 hours. So listeners, thank you so much for joining us today with the Phaedra episode, which has actually ended up being one of my favorites.
Yeah, it has been
I
a
dig
good
it.
one. There's been yeah, I'd say the tangents were fun this time. Hopefully,
Yes.
any of the listeners slash viewers enjoyed them, and
Yeah.
maybe if there are any on cinema fans out there, give us a shout out in the comments.
It's great. It's great. See, for each of the shows, slowly I'm finding out that we have like a thing going, running alongside it. And for Shadow Dome, Dan and I don't know if you've heard any Shadow Dome episodes, but him and me are really big fans of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, which is this, the guys who did Mighty Boosh, Mighty Boosh, and what is it, the IT Crowd and Black Books. So they did this series. It was only like 5 episodes long, and it was And so him and me are constantly referring to that throughout it because we just have that connection there. So I really dig that you and I have the on cinema connection. Because if you are in the middle of saying something and I'm like shut, or if you like shout me down and say shut the fuck up, fucking shut up, it's like we'll understand what it's about. In fact, you have so much leeway for that because I do go on so many tangents. You can be like, you can just literally get up in a cocaine rage and just yell like, "Listen, we don't want to hear about your goddamn day, okay? Stick to the movie talk." Although we do need who's the guy with the glasses in on cinema?
Mark.
We need a Mark Froderick. Okay, Cecil B. DeVille. All right, talking about the next Colossus.
Yeah.
Oh,
in the on cinema storyline, he's like in a coma or something right now, I think. But yeah.
And they on the air they do this service for him because they think he's died. Oh my god! All right, so but anyway, I think that's our cue, man. So
Yes,
where can the fine folks find you online?
Yeah, as you said, I'm at landsoflightanddark.tumblr.com, and I am on Twitter at Inimitable Uman.
Amazing. See how I have inimitable in the spiel,
Yes.
and I always stumble
do.
on it. I can't remember. Oh, no, actually, I wrote the intro after meeting you, so it clearly is a subconscious reference to yourself, buddy. My dude. All right, well then, let me tail off into our end of show spiel, which I really should have like figured this out by now, but by the time. Yeah, I'll get there one day. So Fumito Ueda podcast listeners is part of the Interactive Artistry Podcast Network. We humbly hope you enjoyed this episode and that you'll enjoy future discussions on all of the facets of Fumito Ueda's works. You can find us. Interactive Artistry now has a website, interactive-artistry.com, which we're looking to develop as like a central hub. We need actually your headshots, man. For that, we got to get you on the site. You want to send those through? We'll get you added to that, and then facebook.com/interactive artistry, interactiveartistry.tumblr.com, and then for the specific Fumito Ueda stuff, it's all Fumito Ueda podcast everywhere. You'll find us, believe me. So just Google it. Too easy. Well, listeners, thank you so much. And Logan, any final little sign off? Phaedra themed sign off.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to next week now.
Okay, stop horsing around, everyone. Catch you later. Take it easy. Bye.